Did you know that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the US have reported either rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner? Worse yet, were you aware that nearly half of all US men and women will experience psychological aggression by an intimate partner at some point during their lifetime? The scary thing is, emotional abuse often flies under the radar because it's so difficult to spot. It's super difficult to see, especially when you're the one in the relationship. And I speak from experience because this is something I've gone through myself. What makes it even more dangerous is it's really difficult to be able to prove it's happening. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of those difficult to spot red flags in relationships that we should all be aware of. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what to look for, as well as what you'll need to do to stay safe if you notice it within your own relationship. I'm Corey Logaitis, and I'm a life and business coach who helps survivors find purpose through leading emotionally fulfilling lives and businesses. As a survivor of emotional abuse myself, I'm ashamed to admit that I was the last to notice it. It took me having to have a very difficult conversation with a therapist to realize exactly the magnitude of the situation that I was in. By sharing today some of these red flags, I'm hoping that it'll help somebody who is in the same position that I was many, many years ago be able to see it a bit sooner. Before we go ahead and get started, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you are updated on new episodes when they become available. Emotional abuse doesn't just happen within intimate relationships. It can happen between parents, siblings, coworkers, friends. If it's toxic, it's toxic. The type of relationship doesn't really matter. So today I'm going to be going over 10 relationship red flags to keep an eye out for that often fly under the radar. The first one, you're always walking on eggshells. If you find that just being in the presence of a specific person has you kind of tiptoeing around them for fear of doing something to upset them or to set them off, then that could be a sign that you are in a toxic relationship. If you constantly need to update somebody on your whereabouts, so this is super, super common and initially comes off as being concern by your loved one, but it's really a method to control people. So if you find that someone is obsessively asking you to check in, let them know where you are, basically expresses that they don't trust you and that you need to be checking in with them all the time, that is not normal relationship behavior. And it's not a sign of them actually caring for you and your well-being and your whereabouts. It's actually a control mechanism. You are regularly the target of degrading jokes. Oftentimes, what abusers will do is they'll put somebody down, but kind of disguise it in a joke to make it seem like it's not as bad as it actually is. If you find you're bearing the brunt of these sort of jokes on a regular basis and it's really not feeling good to you, then that's a pretty clear sign that someone is taking advantage of you and your feelings. This is one that even I found myself doing all the time when I was in my abusive relationship. You find yourself apologizing for things that you haven't even done wrong. Oftentimes, it just becomes easier instead of dealing with the wrath of the person that you're dealing with to accept the blame than have to be argued with that they are not to blame. So if you find yourself constantly accepting blame for things, even if it's not your fault, that's a red flag. If you find yourself feeling loved and then rejected all within a time frame of a few moments, this is something called love bombing, and it's actually pretty serious, and it's a way that abusers gain even more control over their victims. The way it works is they provide excessive amounts of love and affection towards you, and then when you don't do something that they like or that's against their wishes, then they start withdrawing that affection. And it's a constant cycle. So when you tolerate the withdrawal because you're constantly craving that love bomb. If you find yourself constantly in this kind of cyclical pattern, that's a pretty glaring red flag. Want to hear the surprising sign that tipped me off that I was in an abusive relationship? Stick around to the end of the episode because I'm going to be covering it then. Next red flag. Your achievements are always belittled. No matter what you do or what you accomplish in life, if the other person is always putting you down, usually this is to make themselves feel better and to bring themselves up. They do that by putting other people down. The people within your life, especially the ones that love you, should be doing everything within their power to lift you up, especially when you are successful. So if you have somebody in your life that is constantly belittling you, more than likely that's a red flag you should pay attention to. Next one. You have either affection, money, or sex withheld from you anytime that you do something that they don't like. This is actually done as a punishment to further control you. So you won't act in the way that you feel that you need to act in order to best fulfill the abuser's wishes, right? So they will withdraw any kind of love, money, and sometimes sex, if it's an intimate relationship, in order to gain that kind of power over you, because those are all things that we need as human beings in order to survive and connect with other people. Another one is you often feel sorry for them. Abusers keep themselves in the situations that they're in because they gain some kind of benefit off the victim. You usually find a lot of emotional abuse will happen in like narcissistic relationships, where they're getting some kind of benefit out of the relationship from the victim. So it works in their benefit to control the victim the best that they can. Sometimes it'll be a financial benefit. Other times it'll be a benefit related to social status. But anytime you notice this, it's a pretty big red flag that you should be paying attention to, because if you feel bad for this person, it means that you are probably above them on a certain level with certain things, and it's not your responsibility to try to fix them, and they should be treating you better overall. So definitely view that for the red flag that it is. You're always surprised by changes of plans. So if you make plans on, well in advance, and then all of a sudden at the very, very last moment, guess who changes them on you? Again, this is another way that they get to control you, because it sets you off guard. It puts you into the situation, not in a great mind frame, and then it makes them look better. So definitely a red flag to watch out for. And the final red flag, the very one that showed me that I was in fact in an abusive relationship and I had absolutely no idea. But the sign was I felt like I was going crazy. The reason I felt like I was going crazy was because of something called gaslighting. What happens with gaslighting is when the victim points out or questions the abuser on something that they notice that is not right. So as an example, a very common one would be if a partner is cheating and the other partner points them out on it, and the one that's cheating then starts to say, no, you're paranoid, nothing happens, like I didn't go anywhere, that kind of thing, even though it was obvious that something had happened. This sort of thing is called gaslighting. And what this does is it sets the victim off guard and it makes them reevaluate their own sanity. If you're being told on a regular basis that things that you are observing aren't based in reality, and that there's something wrong with you and not with the person that you're questioning, this is called gaslighting, and it is very, very serious. And it took me a very long time to start to feel like I wasn't crazy anymore, to start to trust other people and to understand that no, there isn't anything wrong with me, and what I did see did in fact exist and happen. If any of these signs sounded familiar today, please get help. You can contact the National Domestic Abusive Hotline at 800-799-7233. If being on the phone is not an option, you could visit www.thehotline.org and do a chat message with somebody who may be able to help you out. Have you survived emotional abuse? If so, what was the red flag that was the most surprising to you? Leave a comment or tag me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and I just may feature your comment on a future episode. Ready for even more inspirational content? Be sure to head over to my website, www.corylowe.com, and sign up for my email list. Every single week, you'll receive tips, tools, resources, and interviews designed to help you lead an emotionally fulfilling life and business. I look forward to connecting with you there.